This is the Retirement Key Podcast with Abe Abich, founder of Abich Financial Services.
As hopefully we're starting to, not hopefully, it's happening. I'm happy to say I do. I spend most of the winter days just waiting for spring to arrive. And we've done the spring forward time. So we have the longer days. Mm-hmm. Of course, the pollen, heaven help if you got the pollen allergy, the pollen has coated everything in a gentle blanket of yellow.
I'll take that over snow and ice.
I was going to say, we go from the winter white blanket to the yellow blanket to then the humidity blanket that will be July and August. We're always being blanketed by something. But so March is a good time of year for a lot of people. There's lots of things to look forward to. March Madness, longer days, getting hopefully better weather. It's always sporadic here in the Northern Virginia area as far as what kind of weather we're going to get this time of year. Yes, favorite part. Yep. So we're actually going to talk about the cult following that is the St. Patrick's Day treat at McDonald's, the Shamrock Shake, and how it relates to the windows of opportunities that we may not even realize are standing right in front of us, Abe. But first, I want to ask you, we talk a lot on the radio program about the big question everybody has, right? Do I have enough money to retire? That's what people want to know.
It's probably the question we get the most, for sure.
Of course. Yep. I mean, that's what people are coming to you, right? Here's our savings. Is it enough? Help us. But I wanted to narrow in on that question a little bit further and ask about the idea of how much will I need per month, and the focus and the effort, the planning effort that's required to unpack the answer to that question for each individual person, because the Bureau of Labor Statistics has some numbers that they have released talking about how the average spend for a household ages 65 to 74 is roughly $5,400 a month. For those 75 and up, it's $4,400 a month. Only 3% of households spend more than $7,000 a month. And the average Social Security benefit for a couple in retirement is just over $3,000 a month. So according to these numbers, Abe, the pull from our investments, it could be less than $3,000 a month, which doesn't seem too bad. But the question is, do these numbers add up to you in the work that you do at Abich Financial? Does it make sense?
No, these numbers don't add up for the work that we do here at Abich Financial. In fact, I feel like most of the people that we see typically want somewhere between $10,000 to $15,000 a month.
Yeah.
Now, that's going to obviously include your Social Security. That could include some pensions, maybe some rental income. But that average of $5,400 a month countrywide seems really low. Again, most people that we see kind of usually desire somewhere between, maybe it's $8,000 to $15,000 a month. And I know that's a big range, but
it's obviously a lot more than this. But this is a national average, so you got to think about we're factoring people that live in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska, nowhere, Arkansas, versus people that live here in the DC metro area, where it is a much higher cost of living.
That's right. And so it's a much higher cost of living, and things are more expensive. And people here in the DC metro area have also usually saved more than the country's averages as well. And we see a lot of people coming in with, $2 to $4 million is kind of probably what the average is. And sometimes it's lower and sometimes it's a lot more. Sometimes it's 5, 10, 15 million plus.
Got it.
But I'll tell you, and we say this all the time here on the show, is that sometimes those people that come in with 10, 15, 20 million are just as lost. They've done a fantastic job of accumulating, but just as lost in terms of their income plan and their comfort and their confidence in turning that 10, 15 million into predictable, dependable income because they don't have an income plan. They had an investment plan and a plan to accumulate that wealth and might have done a fantastic job of getting there. And then this whole back end part of a retirement plan, what we call phase 2, that shift from phase 1 to phase 2 is totally foreign for most Americans.
Right.
Because all the time out there in our industry is spent on saving and maxing out accounts and choosing the right investments. And while that's still important in retirement, choosing the right types of investments, what's perhaps more important is putting together a plan to actually enjoy this money you've worked your entire life to save. Right. It's a different type of plan. People need to stop looking at and focusing so much on the return, on the 8% or 10% or 15%, whatever they're trying to achieve in terms of return. Stop looking at the return so much and start looking at what you're keeping in your accounts and what you're getting for cash flow on a monthly basis. And do you have a plan that's allowing you to enjoy that $3 million, that $5 million, or whatever it is that you have saved? So we just had a couple come in recently from Vienna, Virginia, about $2 million saved right at the point of retirement, a 6 risk And the problem before coming in to see us is that they didn't have a plan to turn that $2 million and all their assets and income resources into a predictable income plan. And they wanted $12,000 a month net. Okay. Now, that wasn't too big of a deal for them because they had pensions, they have Social Security, which total about $4,000 a month. So they needed about $8,000 a month from their $2 million portfolio, which is a little bit under a 5% withdrawal rate. It's about 4.8. You know, a lot of people have heard of that 4% rule. It's a general rule of thumb. It's something you want to be mindful of, you know, obviously how much you're pulling out of your portfolio on a monthly and annual basis. But keep in mind, spending in retirement isn't linear. It's not going to go straight up for the rest of your lives. In fact, most retirees want more cash flow in those early years, that first 5, 10, maybe even 15 years of retirement. So, so we help them to put together that income plan to help them accomplish their goals and objectives. Before seeing us, they had no idea how to do that because they knew how to save in their 401ks and IRAs, just like most people do.
Yep.
Got to the point of retirement with all the resources, $2 million, and really needed help putting all that together, streamlining it, pulling it all together, and making sense out of a retirement plan. They had an investment and accumulation plan before. The solution for them was a retirement income plan and roadmap. It's one of the first things we do for a prospective client when they come into our offices. One of the first reports we look at is, here is your income plan. People need to know where all that income is going to come from so they have the confidence to pull the trigger at the point of retirement and retire with that confidence. That retirement income plan is going to show them, and it showed them where all their income streams came from. The pensions, Social Security checks, and the $8,000 a month from the $2 million portfolio. We clearly defined the income in the income plan and roadmap, right? And sometimes for the first time in people's lives, they're actually getting this income plan, this roadmap that we track with most of our clients 4 times a year. Clearly define that income, that we define their risk tolerance, their allocation, what they were comfortable with, that 60-40 kind of desired equity fixed income split. We turn that $2 million of 401k and IRA money into an income generating machine. If you're 55 years old and older, you've saved $500,000 or more in investable assets that we can help you with. We also want to help you put together the same retirement income plan and retirement roadmap to have a comprehensive plan to address all parts of your retirement plan. We want to offer you the same retirement income plan and roadmap that we offer to this couple out of Vienna, Virginia, complimentary.
All right. So besides figuring out our monthly income number, something else that might not seem so obvious to us is the opportunities that come to us, not just in retirement, but long before retirement. It starts at age 50. So it is that time of year for the special green treats. There's always a plethora of green that seems, sometimes it can be a little aggressive. Like, no, please don't dye everything on my food plate green in the name of, and listen, I'm Irish. My mother is a Keenan, but I've got limits and boundaries. But have you ever even had them? I've never even had a McDonald's Shamrock Shake. I was realizing earlier today.
I haven't, but I've had a green beer before.
Delicious. That's more my speed, if I'm being honest. But the Shamrock Shakes, they definitely have a cult following at McDonald's. However, very limited opportunity. In fact, as of today here on this radio program, I'm not even sure if Shamrock Shakes are even still available anymore because they are very stingy with their minty green liquids and libations. They only last for a few days, maybe a couple weeks, depending on where you go to McDonald's. You might be able still to find a Shamrock Shake. It is a reminder of how windows of opportunities, they come and go. At least with the Shamrock Shake, you know it'll come around again next year if you love your green milkshakes. When it comes to our retirement planning, there are definitely windows of opportunity that can pass us by. And once they're gone, Abe. And I wanted to take some time to point out what those might be to folks listening to us on the radio today. We don't want you, as you're listening, to miss out on these opportunities. So let's go through some of those.
People need to stop wondering, Heather. People need to stop hoping and start planning, being proactive, getting educated, learning about what all your options are and what opportunities are out there. That's how you take advantage. That's how you maximize everything that's in front of you when it comes to your financial plan. Just a few key milestones. Obviously, at 50 and older, we can take advantage of catch-up contributions. You miss some of these windows, you permanently lose years of higher savings potential. A special one here that just started last year in 2025 was that super catch-up contribution exclusively for people between the ages of 60 to 63.
Okay.
In 401ks, TSPs, you can contribute up to $35,750, which is basically it's roughly another $3,500 on top of the regular catch-up.
Okay.
So just under $36,000 that someone can contribute between the ages of 60 to 63 inside 401ks. You've got Medicare at 65. It's got a hard enrollment window. You've got, filing, Social Security at 70. You've got RMDs at 73. You've got a bunch of things that you need to be aware of, and you need to understand the rules to the game, and they are very important rules, and those rules constantly change, which is why having an advisor. Many reasons why having an advisor that stays up with all these things and stays on top of all these things can help you, can educate you, can let you know, and guide you when it comes to all these decisions that have to be made. It's not just the money. It's not just what you're invested in. It's all of these other parts of a comprehensive plan that, in our opinions, are just as important. We just helped a couple out of Gainesville, Virginia, in their early 60s, retiring in 2 to 3 years, around 62, 63.
Yeah.
$3 million saved, 7 risk on our risk scale. Enough saved, but no plan to actually retire. They're invested like a 9, but wanted to be a 70-30, knew they needed to reduce risk. We put together a portfolio X-ray analysis for them where they finally learned, they got educated, that they were a 90-10. Too much risk. One of the reasons why they got to $3 million, but needing to reduce that risk, understanding that was important, they took action and did so, became a 70-30. They streamlined and consolidated assets. They put together a retirement plan, Heather, that gave them clarity for the next 2 to 3 years ahead so they can retire with as much confidence as possible in 24 to 36 months. That is really ideal as well, is to put together a retirement plan with 5 years or less away from full retirement, because there's a lot of meetings that can happen, right? Versus retiring and then finding a financial advisor 2 months before you're going to retire. There's only so much we can do with that timeline. So the more timeline you have in front of you before retirement, the better. If you're listening right now, you're 55 years old and older, you've saved $500,000 or more of investable assets. We want to offer you the same portfolio X-ray and analysis that helped this couple out of Gainesville, Virginia. Find out what you have, what you own, how's it working, the upsides, the downsides, the fees, returns, the losses. Then put all that together in a plan that makes sense for phase 2.
So, Abe, someone wrote into an advice column on marketwatch.com saying, quote, "My wife and I have $2.5 million in assets. Most of it is in pre-taxed traditional 401ks that we are maxing out. Our ages are 52 and 46. Is it too early to consider a mega backdoor Roth?" So a couple of things here. Obviously, these people are doing great at starting early and thinking ahead. These folks might be a little bit younger than the folks that you work with at Abich Financial, but still, kudos to them for being proactive, Abe. What is a mega backdoor Roth? And how would you answer this couple?
Yeah. So first off, a mega backdoor Roth, it's a strategy that lets higher income earners put after-tax money into a 401k, then convert that money to Roth, creating the potential for long-term tax-free growth. It's designed for people who earn too much to contribute directly to a Roth IRA and for people who are already maxing out their regular 401k contributions. Why could it make sense for this couple? The strategy becomes attractive only after someone is already maxing out their 401ks, which they're doing. Because Roth accounts grow tax-free and are not subject to RMDs, the payoff is having decades of tax-free growth if they can handle the upfront tax bill. The big catch to watch out for, a mega backdoor Roth only works if the employer's retirement plan allows after-tax contributions and permits moving that money into Roth, either through in-plan conversions or in-service withdrawals. I checked on this for myself personally, and our company here at Abich Financial, and our 401k provider does not allow it.
Got it.
So you have to check.
So it's a term that might not even apply. Okay.
It may not apply to everybody, and if it does apply, does it really make sense for you?
Yeah.
That's to be determined.
Got
but
it.
This is one of those things where you need to be educated and actually know that this is an option out there for you, right? And if it is, does it make sense to take advantage of? And it's not going to be for everybody. So we just helped a couple out of Fairfax, Virginia. They are retired now. When they came to us, they had maybe 6 months left before full retirement, about $4 million saved, taxes top of mind because taxes will probably be their biggest expense in retirement. $4 million saved, 401ks and IRAs, $3.5 million of it pre-taxed, the rest in brokerage accounts and cash. We put together a tax mapping analysis for them, especially for people that have saved a lot of money. The more and more that they've saved, the higher the potential is for higher taxes down the road. We put together a tax mapping analysis and report for them to show them where they are in the current brackets and how much of a tax conversion or Roth conversion they could do each year while either still staying in the same bracket or maybe bumping up to the next bracket. And so we determined we could do about $200,000 of Roth conversions per year, bumping up to the top of the 24% bracket. And that's where this couple determined it would make best sense for them.
Okay.
Right. So we had that conversation. We put together the full retirement plan for them with an emphasis on reducing taxes as much as possible on their hard-earned life savings. Because think about it, this couple with $4 million, even if taxes never change, when RMDs start to come out at 73 and beyond, it could shoot them up into a higher bracket down the road. Concerned with that, and concerned with passing on the most tax-efficient dollars as possible when they pass. If you're 55 years old and older, you've saved $500,000 or more of investable assets that we can help you with. You're also concerned with taxes, looking to implement a tax plan to lower and mitigate taxes as much as possible on your nest egg and your life savings. We want to offer you the same tax mapping report and analysis complimentary.
Abe and his team, they're here to help you do that. So it's theretirementkey.com to start the conversation, or you can just click on the links we've got posted in the show notes.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Key Podcast with Abe Abich. To learn more about Abich Financial Services, visit theretirementkey.com and join Abe for his radio show, The Retirement Key, Saturdays at 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 8 a.m., 2 p.m., and 5 p.m. Abich Financial Wealth Management is a registered investment advisor with the SEC. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training, and the content of this communication has not been approved or verified by the United States Securities and Exchange Commission or by any state securities authority. The information contained in this material is intended to provide general information about Abich Financial Wealth Management and its services. It is not intended to offer investment advice. Investment advice will only be given after a client engages our services by executing the appropriate investment services agreement. Information regarding investment products and services are provided solely to read about our investment philosophy and our strategies.